views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Where my girl got the sweetest
pussy. Welcome to SinCityBounty.com. Hey, it's only been a week. It's usually 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then we have a show. But it's only been a week.
It's only been a week.
Yay. I was thinking we may need to change our ending where we'll see you next week if you're brave enough.
I know.
We'll see you next time or something.
We'll see you on the next episode.
See you when we see you.
Yes, I believe that we did episode 420 in March.
Yeah.
It's not true. It was like May, but we're only on 426, I think.
I don't think we know. I think the past few episodes say 420 something.
Willie looks like he voted for Trump.
Okay, so before we get into some crazy stuff, I wanted to say, for those of you who subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our videos on YouTube, I have updated.
I know, because half of them came through last night in the middle of the night.
I updated. It's only the past 3 podcasts, I think, or 4 podcasts. So I still have a bunch to make up for because I haven't updated since March. And I put up the 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the videos on our YouTube channel. So
we are getting caught up, people. We are getting caught up.
We are.
Which means share them with your friends. Like them.
Subscribe, hit the bell icon.
But for those of you who like to demolish buildings and stuff while you're listening to our podcast, new updates have been added. So yay.
Yes. As a disclaimer, we cannot be held responsible for any damage or injuries that are incurred while listening to this podcast. Because we have big rig drivers who listen.
We do. We have a gentleman
while they're driving.
He drives from another state to here, and he's like, I put you guys on while I'm driving. And I'm like, I probably wouldn't do that.
Also, hey, now that we're updating again, you can go support us on Patreon.
Please. And don't forget, all Patreon subscribers of any level can put in a patch request to be put on my jacket. It has to be made through Patreon. I set up a Discord server. So if you want to talk, and I'm the one who's managing it, so if you talk to us on Discord, it's through me. You'll be talking to me directly. It's Sin City Bounty, just like everything else.
If you send an iron-on patch, she can still stitch it on.
Oh, I will. I always stitch on iron-on patches. I iron them on to position them, and then I put a few stitches through them to hold them on.
Right.
I'm not sure if I
Vendetta
did this right.
said, Sierra, I saw some cool patches at work, but they are iron-on. Will they still work?
No, iron-on's fine. Iron-on just means I don't have to fuck with it while I'm trying to stitch it on. It's just there already.
Guys, Facebook suggested a watch party, so I clicked OK, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm hoping y'all are watching this video feed and not like a private video that I have saved on my phone. Just in case.
She makes videos for me.
I do. I mean, we're friends. That's what you do.
I screen all her videos. Be like, you should do that a little juicier.
So I know that a lot of you ladies who are watching or who are watching the video are going, who's the hot dude?
Hot dude. I got the hot dude. Who has 2 thumbs and a hot dude connection? This is Shane. We have been teasing for a month now that we're going to talk about parenting or dating as a single parent, and we wanted a dude's perspective. And we've finally got it all squared away, and we're ready to do this. So that's what the topic of discussion is this week, is parenting, dating as a single parent. I would say parenting while dating too. I guess that would.
And of course, we had to bring in a guest because the only thing that I know is I have to get home in time to give my cats their snack because I don't have kids.
So your perspective is going to be the childless one dating someone with children. Like, what's your? Wow. Although I know her answer would be like, not happening.
No, actually, I've dated a few people with kids before, and I like the ones that don't make me meet their kids. To be honest, I don't really like kids under the age of 15 because they can't hold a conversation.
She picks the age of our kids, and she's like, I don't like any under this age, which is
But
Both
I mean,
of our children.
I don't mind them in short bursts, you know, a little bit here and there, like an outing at the beach or the park or whatever.
Yeah, but when you're dating someone, it could be like a week long. You have to be
Yes.
interacting with someone else's children.
Yeah. So yeah, that's actually she's right. It's not happening.
Nope, she'd be dating a guy. He could be hot as fuck. He'd be like, I have 3 6-year-olds at home, triplets with my ex-wife. She'd be like, I don't think this is gonna work out.
So,
right.
how many kids do you have?
I have 3. I have a 22-year-old daughter, almost 18-year-old son, and a 14-year-old son.
So 2 at home.
Yes. Well, I share custody with my ex-wife.
Okay.
So is it a 50-50 split or every other weekend?
50-50 split.
50-50. I hear more of that now. When I was young and parents were divorced, it was like dad got the kids every other weekend. But I hear more of the 50-50 split stuff.
The nice thing about it has been that when the kids were younger and we would reveal to like principals or teachers that we were divorced, they would say, we couldn't tell. Your kids do not behave like divorced kids. They behave like normal kids, which we like that. So obviously something's working out, right?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So get started. This is your baby. I'm here for comedy relief.
Technically, it's Toxie's baby, but I'm gonna roll with it. I will start with.
Well, let's give a little bit of background.
Okay.
Because one of the things when we first discussed doing a show about, you know, kind of dating as a single parent, we all have a little bit of different styles. And I also don't necessarily, you know, people parent in different ways and they also consider different things. Like I don't actually truly call myself a single parent because my daughter's father's here and, you know, miles away and active in her life and all that good stuff. So I just say I say I'm a soccer mom who's single, or a mom who's single, but you know, I know there's genuinely a lot of single parents who don't have the other parental support.
Yeah, I have the same situation. My son's dad is super involved in his life. We have his IEP meeting come up. We go to those together. We co-parent really, really well. A lot of people are really weirded out by it because we're super good friends now.
And I'm your best friend, and I was a little weirded out when
I
I
know.
first started. I was like, what?
Yeah, we're like really good friends.
But I
now.
love him, so.
And now I'm trying to hook him up with all my friends because that boy needs a blowjob.
Seriously, she does. But
I do. I try.
But when we first spoke about it, we have different things that we do when we're dating, and we thought, all right, we want a male perspective.
But we can't
So
have.
the first thing we thought
We can't
is
have our ex-partners do this at all because they are the exact opposites of our exact opposites.
so opposite. So far as your ex,
He
does
doesn't
not
date at all.
period.
Period. End of story. He never leaves the house. He doesn't go anywhere. He doesn't do anything. I'm seriously considering bringing in a hooker for him. Like, he does not date. I have asked him. He's been on one date in the last, like, 3 or 4 years because he borrowed my van. He's like, I'm going to go out. I'm like, how long are you going to be gone? I don't know. I'm like, all right, peace out. Get some. Get some. That was it. One time he went out. One time. So he does not date. He does not have a policy of introducing his kids to
Right.
potential partners. Because since we've split, he has not had a girlfriend. And it's been over 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And my ex-husband will not be girlfriendless.
Ever.
And when I say this, I'm not saying anything that I wouldn't say to his face. So I'm not. I do try to be very cautious about not talking shit on here, because I eventually know that one day my daughter might actually click play on one of these, and we don't hate each other. So, I mean, my ex and I. So anyway. He dates all the women. He's a complete opposite. But he was also he's been with the same one for quite some time, but when he was first dating after, he would be like, hey, I just met you in the checkout line at the grocery store. Can I drop my daughter off at your place and we'll go out? So it was a little opposite, whereas I...
Wasn't like one of his second dates at one of your daughter's soccer games?
No. Oh, yeah. No, he actually brought a woman to her soccer game, made out with her on the sideline. And then when they broke up, the woman was crazy and kept showing up at her soccer games. So this was also around the time he stopped showing up at her soccer games as well. For different reasons, but it all happened around the same time. So I'm, with all that in mind, when I first started dating, I thought, well, I can't do that.
No one should do that. Just saying.
So this doesn't work, and this is quite uncomfortable. So what could be the most polar opposite? Or I guess what I had always been most comfortable with, and that is I've never introduced anyone to my daughter. Like, in the same room, in the same breath, in the same anything. Like, she doesn't even know guys' names. I'm like, I'm going out with a friend, spending the night at a friend's house, and she's like, oh, tell Sierra I said hi. I'm like, yep, that's it. So that's me. So I'm the extreme opposite.
And I'm sort of in the middle ground. So I'm in a weird situation now where my current partners have been friends of mine for years, and so my kids know them as my friend, but now we're partners, and so he's like, he knows that. But before that, my previous ex, we started dating in December. He met my kid for the first time in February. My kid didn't even see us kiss until like July. So like, it was very cautious. And before that, and between that, when it's just serial fucking, they don't meet my kid. Like, there's been one or two dudes between when the ex and I broke up and when the last ex, when baby daddy and I broke up and the last ex, that met my kid. And one of them was kind of forced upon me, like, this is so annoying. The guy's like, oh, I want to meet your kid. I'm like, we're on our second date, dude. I don't even know your middle name. You're not meeting my kid. Oh, no, it'll be cool. I want to meet your kid. Why don't you meet your kid? And badgered me into bringing my kid on our fourth date, which was stupid, but that didn't last very long. That was Big Papa. That was the guy that shot the headboard from the footboard.
Mm-hmm. With his cum.
Who, by the way, wouldn't run his air conditioning in the summertime because he was a fucking cheapskate, so I was sweaty the whole fucking time I was over there, which is gross.
I only mentioned that it was with his cum is because it's an original story from 20
Season
years
1.
ago when we started our show.
Yeah. Big Papa, that was a good time.
All right, so from what I'm gathering as an outside observer with no desire for anything to do with kids, is that you wait a reasonably healthy amount of time when you're in the right mindset to maybe introduce your kid to someone.
Right. When I have decided to make a commitment to someone.
Right.
But
in your current situation, they kind of came pre-approved by your kid.
Pre-approved by my kid, yeah, because all of us were friends before we started dating, so.
And you have never gotten to a point with a guy in the many years you've been dating and single to even consider introducing your daughter to
That
him.
is correct.
Okay. And how do you handle dating?
Well, I've only had 2 girlfriends between when my ex-wife and I split up. So the first one was a mistake because she had kids, and she was like, well, your kids should meet my kids. I met her kids on the first date.
Oof.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I guess. So we went to Burger King, and I brought my sons to Burger King to meet her daughters, and that was awkward and uncomfortable. And wouldn't recommend that ever. My last girlfriend, when we broke up, well, before we broke up, when we first started dating, it was a month. And we've been talking for a couple months before we actually started dating, and we've been dating for about a month when I met her son, and then she met my kids. So I'd say that was like 3 months. So, and we were both comfortable with each other, and we felt that that neither one of us was about to go anywhere, so it was okay. And also, it helps the fact that they're a little older, so it's not as jarring. Younger kids, it's awful when you see them, and like you have, like you were saying, like it's just new person. That's not healthy for them to see that come in and out of their lives. Kids need consistency.
So
Yeah.
you've learned your dating style, as it were, by
Yes.
trial and error.
Yes.
You didn't have people to talk to who gave you advice. Use this as advice, people, on how not to date when you have kids and how to date when you have kids. That's what it's a valuable service we're providing.
It is. It is. I think there's some people who, especially if you're brand new into being single, you don't know the right way. Like, there's not a manual, and I think some people, I had a neighbor who I absolutely adore. This woman, adore her.
Wait, is this the second wife?
This is the this is the one who had my ex-husband called her to come over and fix her broken vibrator. And she listens to the show on occasion, so you'll know who you are. But I adore you. However, they live next door to us, and she would constantly be like, "So this guy's coming over to make dinner for us." And I'm like, "Oh, is this? Wait, no, that's not. You were just who came over last week?" And so it would be a lot of different, in and out, and just a lot being brought into their lives, and it takes a toll on kids.
It does.
It really does.
I have seen kids. I grew up in this great. Well, we all kind of grew up in the same era, and so kids who were divorced when I was growing up, either dad had a shit ton of girlfriends or mom had a shit ton of boyfriends, and you could always tell those kids were angry all the time. So having friends from broken homes, I was like, kind of don't want to do what my friends got screwed into. And then, I've just always been very protective of my kid, and I didn't want him to think that his mom was promiscuous, although I am. I didn't want him to think that. I didn't want him to know the truth. I dated a guy. You guys remember Super Dave? Mm-hmm. He would do anything. Try anything guy, I think is maybe what we called him. Anyway.
No, we called him Super Dave.
We called him Super Dave. He told me when we first started dating that his mom had a lot of sexual partners, a lot. And he was like, yeah, they always came over and I always saw them and blah, blah, blah. And we all know how he was. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this, because Super Dave was pretty early on in my dating career. But, yeah. His kids were great. I kind of miss his kids. I liked his kids better than I liked him.
So, you made the mistake of taking your kid on a 4th date.
I did.
And you made the mistake of taking your kids to the Burger King.
On a first date.
Second date.
Second date?
Well, first date was meeting her kids. Second date was us driving around in a car, making out, and eventually having sex in a parking lot. And then the third date...
Everyone here has had sex in a parking lot.
Here's the other thing, just throwing out there. The one thing, if you are a sole parent,
you have sex in a lot of parking lots.
I'm sorry, that's one thing I always thought. I'm like, it's no big deal and blah, blah, blah. Well, I bring guys to my house, and, I typically date guys who are also a parent. And so, their kids are at their house, and then you're, banging in a parking lot. It's a lot more than you would think it would be.
Yeah, and the cheap motels here are not motels you want to spend any amount of time in. No. I did, I've only done one hotel date. That was with, did we give him a show name? Did we ever give him a show name?
Was it my Scrabble guy?
No.
He loved motel rooms.
No, it was the really big, tall guy. Remember the one that, fell in love with me after the first fuck? And I was like...
The one who wanted to give you a car? No, I Dave?
No, but he reminded me a lot of No I Dave. No I Dave wanted to
Shane is like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
Listen!
You're why did I answer my phone?
We're ethical sluts on this show.
All right, but I wanted to ask, the reason that I said that about the mistakes that you made, how did your kid react on that, meeting that guy on the 4th date?
Thankfully for me, my kid has ADHD and autism and was 4 at the time. So he doesn't even fucking remember and was paying zero attention to what was going on. That was the guy who got mad at me. He was like, let's go on a hike, because I was going to go on a hike that day anyway with my kid. And he was like, well, I'll come with you. That was when the guy who got mad, because I told him, okay, I'm hiking with my young kid who has issues. I will be focused mostly on keeping him from falling off the mountain. And then afterwards, when we go to lunch, he's a lot. And he was like, okay, that'll be fine. And then he got mad because my kid was a lot. And he was like, you just spent so much time talking about him and talking to him and focused on him. And I'm like,
dude, warned you.
I practically wrote you a fucking contract. I told you what was going to happen. And then, of course, when they're 4 and they have issues, they can't keep food in their hands. It gets all over them. So I had to go change him in the bathroom and bring back his clothes.
He was 4 at the time? The boy was 4 at the time?
The boy was 4 at the time. Yeah. He's a fucking toddler, dude. He doesn't even wipe his own ass yet. Not at that point, it didn't, at least.
So, how did your kids react to meeting the other kids?
They were very uncomfortable. I should also preface this that she was in an open marriage, so that was a weird situation because they were like, it's not like a normal where you're dating somebody with kids and you have kids and that's it. It was, well, this is so and so, and this is her husband, and these are their 2 daughters, and they're like, and you're dating her? And they were very confused, and that was a huge mistake on my part, like never again. But they were, my son, he's kind of on the spectrum, my oldest son, and my youngest one, he just wanted to play in the play pit. He really honestly didn't care. He was just like, okay, I got food, I got play place, okay, cool, I'm good with that. I really don't care about anything else.
There was so much bacteria in that play pit.
That's how come our children aren't dead, because we inoculated them against everything.
Well, I inoculated mine against everything and still didn't let her go into the play pit.
How old were your kids at the time that they met?
Let's see, that was back in December of 2010, so 9 years ago. My oldest son would have been 9, and my youngest was 5.5. So
still resilient ages ish.
Yeah, I mean, but still also very awkward and uncomfortable about the whole thing.
Did they talk to you, like take your side and talk to you like, Dad, what the fuck are you thinking?
Well, if they had, I'd have been real shocked. But no, they just, they had questions for their mom, when they saw their mom, and they're like, have you met Dad's new girlfriend? And that kind of stuff. And they also, my ex tried really hard to get along with her, and they fought like crazy. So that was one of those ones also that when it finally ended, it was like, okay, block, goodbye, see you. There you go. It's okay. She actually asked me, she's like, well, you know what? You should pick. We were broken up at the time, and she said, you should side with me over your ex-wife, who you have children with, share custody, and get along with. And I was like, absolutely not. That's not how that works. Mm-hmm. She's going to be in my life forever because we have kids together. You will not. So, no, I'm siding with her.
Yeah.
People who give you an ultimatum are usually not worth their salt anyway. No.
Right. Also, people who use your children as emotional chips in a game of whatever the fuck, not worth it. No.
So really quick, we did have somebody come on in and get tagged, which is Stephanie. And she was tagged because Abby mentioned familiarity with car sex, so you're not bringing home around your kids. And Stephanie refuses to confirm or deny.
Listen.
We've confirmed. Like, it's a thing.
Don't be ashamed of the fact that rather than bring some stranger home to fuck, you just fucked him in a parking lot. I mean, that's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, I wouldn't tell my mom, although she watches the show, so she knows. But I wouldn't just come right out and tell her.
Mom, if your dad.
No!
We have asked questions about him fingering her.
Oh, no.
This show is awful.
But no, it's the whole parent thing. Yeah. No. It's like my parents had sex twice. Once for me and once for my brother. That was it.
Yeah, I had to keep this one the last time my dad was in town. I had to keep her from asking my dad questions.
She's the one who kept it. She's the one. When I was in the kitchen and your dad was there and I was all, and she's all, no. No.
I'm staring daggers at her because I could see it. She a little thought bubble popped above her head. Bing! Ask your dad. Ask her dad. Ask her dad. My dad's missing some fingers on one hand, so that was her fucking question.
I feel like because he's missing fingers, like the nubs.
Nope, wrong fingers.
Might hit these two.
Yeah.
I feel like the nubs might hit the G spot better in fingering.
Don't want to know.
Yeah. What is wrong with you people? You pay a lot for those toys.
That's one of those things you never want to know.
Johnny Fever is just asking it right now. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Bree chimed in earlier and she said, my mom always called them uncles.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, that you knew, like, you had the neighborhood, kid, and then you would have the kids, and they're like, well, that's my Uncle Jimmy, and
didn't you have an Uncle Steve last week?
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, my mom said we have a big family, and you're like, Now, as an adult, you go, oh.
Mom had a big family.
But as a
Like,
kid,
Mom,
you're just like,
just
oh.
take it in a parking lot. Don't even mention this uncle shit. Take it in the parking lot like a
Exactly.
normal person.
Like a normal single parent. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Run the risk of getting caught like a hooker. So
If a woman tells you she's kid free, it's serious. That's true.
I'm
That's
kid
true.
free
You
tonight
know.
equals.
You know.
Oh yeah. If
means
you
wash your balls.
yes,
Like,
if a girl says I'm kid free tonight, that does mean you're getting fucked in an actual bed. I'm never kid free.
And there's usually kinky stuff.
There's what?
There's usually kinky stuff.
There's usually kinky stuff. Well,
I mean, there could be kinky stuff in the car too. I'm just saying. But
kinky
she
stuff
does
can happen
love.
anywhere.
Bree did mention that she had black uncles. She loved that she had black uncles. I like that your family was very diverse and that you recall that specifically.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people today, because I had a black uncle once, but the kids today are more open to things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you would have been with a woman who is in an open marriage, maybe in 2018 or 2019, your kids would have been, oh, whatever.
Do you like, if I were to date somebody and I chose to introduce them to, my daughter to them, and I told her they had an open marriage, like, granted, again, she's a teenager, so it's not gonna, but it wouldn't be a deal. It would be like, okay, like, just
like my
the whole,
kid.
like your scenario, even, with my daughter, I'm like, oh, Sue's, Sierra's, told you we did it.
All the time.
Sierra's boyfriend and girlfriend, like, she didn't even have, she already knew. Like, she already knew the whole
Well, she and I have been friends on
dynamic.
Facebook for a while now, so she's kind of been on the thing.
True, but also, also they're in that generation where everybody is able to define their sexuality and they're very comfortable doing so. And it's
The
not
i-
always monogamy.
Yeah, the
that
idea of
is the
polyamory
result.
is in our kids' generations is more mainstream than it is in ours.
Right.
Which is cool. My kid doesn't give a fuck. Do I have internet access? No shit's given.
That's basically it. Is there internet?
Cool.
Okay. For mine, it's like, is there a soccer field nearby? We're good.
So you still have a few more years before your kid is out of the nest.
Yeah.
When, because you're in a relationship now with two others, and you don't see that ending anytime soon,
No.
but you are still.
And if she
it's
did, she's
still
not going to say it.
It's still an open.
It's not even like I'm breaking up with him next week.
It's still an open polyamory relationship, which means you can date still.
Yes.
Right.
So, you still have no plans whatsoever of introducing anyone to your kid until not only you are okay with it, but your partners are okay with it.
Yeah, like that would probably be the new addendum to that. Would be like, right now, none of us. Well, he might be dating, but he's also very cautious about introducing people until things are ready. I have met someone else he's dated previously, but not while we were dating. So I don't even know like what we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I'm assuming that my partners would be comfortable with my new partner before I might introduce them to my kid.
Right.
Because I'd be like, well, if they don't like you, because that's the other question I have. So I have yet to come across a situation where my kid hated anybody I was dating, mostly because he's only known technically 3 people that I've ever dated. I don't know what I would do in that situation if I really liked someone and my kid hated them. Like, what would you do?
Military school.
Well, I think it would depend on why your kid hated them. Your kid has got to have a reason to hate someone,
But
right?
So I can give you that answer.
I know
because my daughter
is not
hates.
Yeah.
I can use hates, and it's a very strong word, and it's
appropriate.
It's very appropriate in this case. My daughter's been treated like shit for years by my ex's significant other for years. I was thinking about it on the drive in because at the first point I knew where she was, I was trying to think of how long it's been, and I remember once she posted on Facebook that her boyfriend's monster of a 12-year-old is coming over. So I'm like, oh, it's been almost 4 years. And if you've spent even 5 minutes with my daughter, you'll know she's not.
First off, her daughter is a straight A honors student in AP classes who plays like 85 sports and excels in all of them. So,
Right.
not a
she's-
monster.
So she's
a horrible
like,
person then.
right?
Yeah,
She's awful.
she
she's
volunteers at
awful.
the Children's Museum. She
Yeah.
wants to do like 3 other
This
volunteer
last
work.
weekend, she was a
evil.
volunteer
Terrible.
at a race for hemophilia. Like she's a pretty good kid. So she's very tolerant of many things. She was tolerant of the other girlfriends. She was polite. She came in. She said her hello. She smiled. She did her thing. So for her to not like somebody, there has to be something serious there, and it would absolutely make me question it.
But can you tell us how your husband reacted to the fact that she hated the woman that he was dating?
He's still dating her.
He's still dating her, and and again, I don't want to. I don't
I know, that's why I asked if you wanted
trash
to.
talking him, but I'm not saying anything that him and I haven't discussed face to face. Very, very much. He would often tell my daughter that she has to just deal with it, and it took actually some therapy in which the therapist had to say how to help him establish some clear lines, that they really had to stop forcing the interaction. He had to make an effort to have some time with her separate from that environment. But for the most part,
I'm surprised you did not commit murder.
so
She's been talked down off the ledge a few times.
I mean,
Just
this
FYI.
is your daughter, and someone is
Right.
talking crap about and to
right.
your daughter.
There's one thing that you do have to realize, and that what that is that he gets to parent in his own way, and I get to parent in my own way, and I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to like it. I don't have to like how his home looks. I don't have to like how he acts. I don't have to like how he parents. I don't have to like what his rules are. I don't have to like any of that. But he's entitled to have that, his own life.
It's
and
hard
that
to accept.
It's hard, yeah.
It's
I would
very
think.
hard to
I'm not even a
accept.
parent, and I'm pissed.
Yeah, no, it's super hard to co-parent with someone who has different parenting techniques
Right.
than you do.
And so we have very similar parenting techniques in many areas. There's a lot of things that we agree on. He is always a part of any decisions that are made. Like, I don't solely make decisions, regarding my daughter without his input. He's kept informed of everything, but we had to hit that point where I had to realize that I didn't have control over him, his life, his relationship with his daughter. Like, that's on him.
Yeah, you can only you can't handle somebody else's relationships, even if it is your kids' relationships. That's the other thing you have to realize is that as much as you want your kids to have a certain type of relationship with someone, you can't force that on them. And if they're not going to get along, they're not going to get along. And it would come down to, why don't they like each other? Like, if it was because my kid's team Mystic and he's team something else, whatever the fuck the other ones are, no one really cares, then that's seriously not an issue. But if it was a general, an actual like clash of personalities, my kid is the same as yours. It would be super hard to find somebody that my kid just hated, because he does not have enough shits to give to hate somebody that much.
I also think that, for myself, with the exception, like, I get a biter or two. I get that I do have some bad dates and I do make a few bad decisions, but for the most part, I tend to date really great guys. And like I said, I tend to date other parents who are like going through their own parenting struggle and, trying to work their way through this whole thing. I would like to think that I wouldn't choose somebody that clashed so, like, I could probably tell you what I could do if I brought home a guy who was like toting his gun and screaming I love Trump and like talking about the border and like was crazy racist. Like, my daughter would probably have because she'd have a strong reaction to that. That's one of the other reasons she has a reaction to the other individual, not for her political beliefs, but for the words that come out of her mouth. Like, she, it's not how she was raised. So But I would like to think that I wouldn't choose, when I did choose to introduce someone to my daughter, that I wouldn't choose somebody that was so far off that she would have that reaction.
Have you ever had to deal with anything like that, Shane?
Besides the ex-girlfriend with the two daughters, I mean, and my kids did not like her, but they were so young that they couldn't really explain why. Mm-hmm. But it was very obvious that they were uncomfortable being around her. So my recent ex-girlfriend, she gets along great with all my kids. In fact, we're all still friends, and like her son and her will come to like birthday parties and stuff like that, and we all hang out. And I mean, we're not together, but she's now part of the group. So that part's nice. But if I met somebody and we clicked and I introduced them to my kids, and my kids at this age were like, no, then while dating isn't a community project, unfortunately your kids come first. So if my kids were like, we do not like her, then it's like, well, as much as I like you, my kids don't like you, and they're going to be my kids forever, so you're going to have to go.
And I believe too, that your kids don't get to dictate your life or your relationships. Like, I don't think that's what anyone's saying, that they're the ones who get to pick and go on your dating app and make the swipes or anything like that. Like, that's not what they're there for. But I mean, you're kind of right. At the end of the day,
kids come first. Yeah, that's something that dating non-parents is super hard to get across to them, is that my kid will always come before you. Like, I may make you a priority occasionally, but you and I, if something happens, if we're in the middle of a date and something happens and I have to go do something for my kid, I'm leaving the date.
Right.
And it's not just my kid. I'll be honest with you, my family will always come before anyone. And I don't know if you met my family, but woo! With the exception of like one person. And it's super hard to get people who don't have that familial connection or don't have that parenting connection. Like, they don't understand. My kids will always come first. I love you. You're great. You're fabulous. Sex is wonderful. But if I have to move 3 states away from my kid and I are moving 3 states away, you can come or go. Not that I don't care. I'm sure I would care, but I wouldn't really. You know what I mean?
I was in a movie. I was at, I still remember the day. I was in the Galaxy Theater down in Green Valley. And I was in the middle of watching a movie with this guy. I had been seeing him for a while. He's the finger at the sex club guy.
Oh, I like
so
that
he's
guy.
a really great guy, really great dad. Like, he has kids, 50-50 split with his kids. So he was very understanding. He's a really cool guy. But I got busted on for quite some time because we were watching like a superhero movie or something, and I had to up and leave in the middle of the movie because there was an issue with my daughter. And then another time I was out at dinner, and same thing. There was an issue, and I had to up and go. If guys don't understand that, that's...
Yeah, it'll cause a lot of problems, because guys will be like, well, I wanted to do the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but my kid has the blah, 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 and I have to do the thing with my kid, and you're not coming because you've not been introduced to him yet.
If you are single and have no kids and you decide to date someone with kids, and this is from experience, and the guy says to you, or the girl says to you, that they love you so much and they're going to put you first, and don't believe them, because it's not true. The kid will always come first.
But here's the thing, though. If you date someone and they say they're going to put you first, and they do always put you first and not their kid, then don't date them
Exactly.
either.
Those people do exist. Truth be told, those people do exist.
They sure do. People who, like, I don't know. I don't understand them. I don't know why they're like that, but we've met a lot of people who are like, oh, yeah, my kids come first. Oh, dick, bloop, kids. Or, oh, pussy, bloop, kids. Like, oh.
And with that being said, you get to have a life. You get to go out. Like, parents, you get to have sex in the car in a parking lot, but you get to have sex. Like, that's the thing. Your life doesn't end because you have kids. It doesn't mean you have to now be a hermit and just watch reruns of Barney or whatever. You get to have a life, but
The Office.
You get to prioritize. Yes, we watch a lot of The Office.
You do.
We do.
What if your kid's 40?
That's different.
I mean, it could still apply.
Listen, Johnny. I will say that It doesn't matter when your kids. I think once your kids are an adult, like their opinion can sort of count, and as long as your partner isn't being a total douchebag to them, I don't think they get a whole.
I would.
dictation
Oh,
say.
and this, I'm gonna jump in with this really quick, but I'm around that age category, and I have a mother who has now moved back into the dating scene. Which, on a side note, I will no longer be on Facebook dating because my mother is on Facebook dating and dates younger men, and told me, "Oh, a guy named blah 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 just connected with me," and I'm like, "Oh, same guy did with me," and now I'm dead. I'm done. Done.
You're going to be in the same boat as Alexia, where your mom's new husband is going to be like an age younger than you.
2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Well,
Her stepdad's younger than
I
her.
have zero doubts because her last boyfriend wasn't that much older than me. So,
Yeah, my last relationship, my mom's husband is closer in age to me than my ex-boyfriend was. So, yeah, my mom dates younger guys too.
yeah, I just don't want to be dating the same pool of guys. Like, it's bad enough you're dating from the same pool as your friend.
Can you imagine?
We all dated from the same pool. Yeah.
But
It's
you
an
don't
incestuous
wanna-
little thing.
But you don't want to be like, "Hey, I know you dated my mom, but like, my blowy game's a little better." just trying to pick
Or,
this one.
or the guy to
Pick
say,
this
"Huh,
one.
your vagina is shaped just like your mom's. I see where you get it
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So you need to get your mom on Tinder and get her off of Facebook dating.
Tinder, I don't know if that's better. I don't want. I'm telling her like there's
Well, so
old people don't go on Tinder. My mom's older.
she
Don't
should
they
be
have
on our
seniors-
time.
Don't they have
They
senior
should. She
ones?
won't because she doesn't date older men. She dates
Oh.
younger men. So she
Your mom's
refuses
like
to
the
go to
queen of cougars, isn't she?
Basically, apparently, this isn't anything I want to talk about. The last time my mom was I was married for a million years. So when my mom was single, throughout that time, like, we weren't bumping dicks out there.
You weren't Eskimo sisters
No,
with your own mom,
with
which
my
you might
mom.
be.
So anyway, so that's the issue that I kind of have.
Gotta bring her to the sex clubs next time we go.
No, that is not happening. There is no circumstance in which my mom is being invited to the sex club with us.
And
So I
gonna
won't
tell
invite
you-
your mom
I'm
to
gonna
the
tell
sex
you.
club.
I'm going to tell you why that's not a good idea. For you to bring your mom or for you to bring your mom. It's
My mom's
because-
married now,
Because
so.
you and your mom now have a different kind of relationship than you did when you were a kid, and your mom gives no fucks anymore, and she will do the things that she would
will
never have
do
done.
the things. She will tell
I know.
me about doing the things.
I know about the size of her stepdad's
No,
penis
I
Yes.
can't do this.
because
Do
her
you
mom
all-
don't give a fuck.
My mom don't give a fuck.
Abby, do y'all tell people on dating apps pretty openly that you have kids? It shocks me how many guys I've encountered on dating apps that do not disclose they have kids anywhere on their page or after getting to know you. In conversation seems to be more common when they've got younger kids. I'm going to throw a little something out there for you. Again, I'm not saying anything I haven't or won't say to my ex-husband's face. I called him up one day because we matched on a dating site, so that was enjoyable as well. But I call him and I'm like, "You used your real fucking name." He's like, "What was I supposed to use?" I'm like, "Not your whole name and your middle initial. Like, that's not what you're supposed to do." And I'm like, "Why is our daughter's pictures on your dating profile?"
Oh, no.
And he's
Oh,
like,
no.
what am I supposed to use? I'm like, again, not pictures with our daughter in it. Like, no, let me
No.
fix your profile,
I
please.
I am very open about having kids. I don't put pictures of my kids unless you
No.
count my dogs. They're all up in that shit. I put my dog all over my my dating profile because, he's special. You've known my dog. He is fucking special.
He is.
But not my kids. You don't put your kids' faces
No.
on your dating
and
app.
sometimes I see dads who do that. I don't know if moms do because I don't see a lot of. You have more access to other women's profiles.
I do.
Do
no.
you see moms who ever do it?
No, I see way more dudes put their kids in
I see
photos
dudes who do it.
than girls do.
Yeah.
Way more dudes.
Do you think they do it for the sympathy?
Yes,
Yes.
because that's why my ex-husband did it. He's like, the women are like, "Oh my God, single dad." Yeah.
Nope. That's a number one. That is an immediate, like, if a dude's like, if app's like, "Hey, this guy liked you," and like the second photo of him is him and like a 5-year-old, no, because that kid is he is a kid. He's using his kid for sympathy points. Nope.
I take it you have never done that.
No.
And if you had as he's down here with his dating profile,
He's like
delete,
changing his photos
delete,
real quick.
delete. Listen, if you go on, I mean, if I like a guy enough and he's on my Facebook, you're gonna see my kid, not my Toxie page, obviously, but on my real Facebook, you're gonna see photos of my kid. That I have done. I do have guys I've dated on my Facebook page, but
So back to what Abby said, though. If you meet a guy and you
And he
like this
doesn't
guy and he
disclose.
didn't disclose that he had kids in his profile, is that a warning or?
Yeah, it's a huge red flag. If I've been on 2 or 3 dates and then I find out you have kids, no, I really believe you should go into first date knowing the child's status. The other thing is guys who are like 45 and have no kids, but they put on their profile wants kids. That's an immediate no for me too. I don't want any more kids. I technically can't have any more kids. And I've known guys who that's a no for them. Like, if you can't have kids, they're like, sorry, deal breaker, I want kids. I'm like, well, peace out.
I say the same thing that our old co-hosts used to say. And I say, I'm pretty sure at this point, these eggs are hard boiled. So, not happening.
And then what about you, Shane?
Well, for me, I did have a vasectomy 8 years ago because I don't want any more kids. I've got 3. I'm good. And I have met women, and they've talked to me, and they're like, well, I'd like to have kids. I'm like, I'm not the guy for you. And I've even had a couple of them, they joke, and they go, well, accidents happen. It's like, not this time. It's not going to happen.
If this accident happened, baby, we gonna be rich.
Yes, because
rich.
somebody getting sued. So it's been over 8 years. It's there's no accident. But yeah, that's actually, I've had women that they're like, well, I want kids. I'm like, I wish you the best. I really do.
Right.
And I've even had one woman. She said, well, what if I got pregnant? And I'm like, well, whoever the father is, I hope you're both very happy together. But I'm not dating somebody and you're getting pregnant with some. I'm done with diapers. I'm done with all that. I've been in the trenches. I've done the midnight feedings. I've done the cutting the umbilical cords. I've done all that. I love my children. I do absolutely love them. I am in no hurry to start changing diapers or anything like that. Ain't ever again.
The next time I wipe a baby's ass, it's gonna be my grandbaby.
Exactly. Yes.
When you were, did you ever use dating sites like Tinder or anything like that?
Not Tinder, but I have used dating sites. I just recently, in fact, I'm very happy with myself. I finally deleted the last one off my phone because they were just a huge waste of money. Didn't meet anybody.
Oh, of course, most of you don't know. Guys pay for dating sites.
Oh,
almost
we do too.
Always.
I do too. Or I did.
Some of them, but you don't have to always. It's usually the women are free or cheaper. When you were looking through profiles, were one of the things that you were looking for kids or friendly to kids or open to kids or?
Well, I mean, most of the time, if their profile said wants kids, I usually swipe left right away because I'm like, there's no point in even having a discussion.
Right.
That's a goal in your life. That's wonderful. Kids are wonderful, and if that's what you want, absolutely. You just
Not for
gonna
me.
Not going to waste our time. But if they have kids, then I have no problem with it. Most of the time, the ones also I would swipe left on was the ones who are like, well, I have no kids, and I prefer my men to be that way also, and that's a preference, and that's fine. I respect that. It's also not going to be me.
So is that a line that you can put on there, like kid friendly or?
Oh yeah, you can absolutely. I mean, you can fill out your profile however you want, but like in a lot of them, they will have options that say stuff like that. So you can select like, wants kids and has kids, doesn't want kids, that kind of stuff.
You can also leave the question blank. You don't have to answer the question. Now, I answer the question, doesn't want kids. And that generally weeds some dudes out, but occasionally you make it to the first date and they're like, oh, I want to have like 3 kids. And I'm like, bitch, did you read my profile? You can't change my mind on this. Like, I do not want children, cannot have children. And I disclose a lot of that up front in like the first few conversations. Like, are you okay that I'm a single parent? Are you okay that I don't want to have any more kids? There's a couple of other points that I like to tell people, like, are you okay that I already have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Are you okay with, like all this other stuff? Like, got to make sure you're okay with all that before we make it anywhere
you can't
near.
The dog slobbering on you.
Yeah,
because
he drools like a motherfucker. Yeah.
Dog drool's fine.
Have you ever, Shane, had a date with a woman and she did not disclose that she had kids? Or she told you she had kids, but she doesn't really?
No. Thankfully, never had any of those kind of dates.
I've never had anyone lie about kid status either.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I mean, like on their, if we got to the point where there was an actual date, then we had discussed whether or not they had kids, if, all that good stuff. But I've had a couple times where in the discussion parts, they kind of lie about it and then they slip up and you're like, wait a minute, you said blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, well, I guess I should tell you. And I'm like, okay, well, you're a liar. So you're a liar. That's a horrible start to the relationship.
Delete and block.
Yes.
So we have,
My phone
we
died.
died. We had
I
some
have-
things happening in chat. If you could read them.
Do you want Jasper's? About.
She doesn't know.
Go for
My
it.
phone's dead.
Because I clicked watch party on mine.
Oh, okay.
So I have a watch party
So,
happening over here.
We already talked about Abby. Jasper says, when my mom was, your grammar's awful, Jasper. You will see more older people on FetLife than you are apt to see them on Tinder. A person who has hit the past age of menopause. Grammar's awful, Jasper. You can only imagine
okay,
the level of
Jasper.
freakery that
Still
is
write
going
to
on
us.
in her life. Yeah, we still love you, Jasper.
Yeah,
I
but
like
we're
those
talking
workout
about
videos.
grandmas or mothers.
Yeah, I have
being
noticed.
freaks.
I have noticed on my FetLife profile that a lot of the people are older. There's a lot of younger people going in, but there's a lot of older people too. But
If you find my mom,
that
I don't even
has
wanna hear
been,
about
as
it.
you all know, apparently my family all knows I'm the kinker, so you got to come to me with your kink questions, which my mom has done. Please don't do that to your children. I worry every day that I'm going to find somebody I'm related to on FetLife, which is, I think, probably why I'm not as active on it as I should be.
Do you use a pseudonym on there?
I do use a pseudonym on there, but my face is in my pictures because, when you're on
along
any
with
sort
other body parts.
other body parts, because I think if you're going to be, I hate when a guy messages me on FetLife or a girl messages me on FetLife and all it is tits or dick. And I'm like, what does your face look like? Because honestly, I'm a shallow motherfucker. And if you hit every ugly branch on the way falling out of the ugly tree and then smacked into the hideousville ground, we're probably not going to be dating. Again, shallow motherfucker.
You can call me, though. I'll date anybody.
She will. I have known a few people who are like, the uglier the better. I like them like that. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I like them nerdy. I like that. But
I just don't believe that anybody's ugly. That's all.
good for you. I'm shallow. Yeah, I need to know. Like, I need faces.
I feel somebody could be made ugly if they have an ugly inside.
That's
Oh, no.
completely, we're talking physical
We're
features. only.
physical
It
features.
makes-
I
it
have
can make
seen
them ugly.
some
I will show
hot
you.
motherfuckers, and then they open their mouth, and you're like, oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a totally different thing.
Oh, that like dude shark, hot as a motherfucker. Open his mouth. Nope. Sorry.
Anyway, we were talking about your mom on FetLife.
Yeah.
She better not be on there. She's gonna be like likes or nipple clips.
we were talking about why. I don't
And
think
two
I
are
have
interested in butt sex. I'm
I
like,
don't
just
think-
like your daughter.
I don't think I don't have a FetLife profile anymore, but I did at one time, and there are a lot of older people on
There's
there.
a lot
I
of
think
older
it's when
people.
they get older and
They don't have to
they come
worry.
into their own. They
Right.
find out what things are. Like my mom has no idea what nipple clamps are, but if I explain them to her, she might like them. You know what I mean?
That's the same thing when you go to like the sex clubs and you see older people there.
Mm-hmm.
Separate from the old dude jerking in the corner, that's a staple at any sex club.
I'm going to tell you, the first time I went to the Red Rooster, I was encouraged. I realized I am still going to be fucking when I'm 60. That's going to be great. I am going
gonna be putting your fucking naked body in that jizz.
I sure the fuck am.
All right,
I'm
so
still
we've
going to
got
be
we've
cum
got 2
chips.
minutes. Let's tie it up. So one piece of advice you want to give to single parents dating.
What? Jesus Christ, I have to narrow it down
All
to
right,
one.
Shane.
Remember that you are still a human being, even though you are a parent. Your kids should come first, but you are allowed to have fun.
Okay, Toxie.
I think mine's essentially the same. Like, remember, you're allowed to have fun, and I've got nothing more than.
Okay.
I'm going to be, don't be that guy. Like, don't be that, or girl. Don't be that person. Don't be a douchebag. If you're a single parent dating, don't push your kids aside for some poontang or
Oh, and
dang-a-wang.
don't be shitty to your significant other's children.
Yeah.
Because those children one day have to put your significant other in a nursing home.
This is very true.
Yep.
All right, we hope you learned a lot today. If you have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to message Sarah, Toxie, or the Sin City Bounty page, or send us an email at sincitybounty@gmail.com. Yeah,
she
I'm
left
going to
herself
tell you,
out.
just don't date the people with the kids.
If you are a Patreon, you can join our Discord and you can ask your questions in there. You can ask them in Patreon. Don't forget the Patreon patch program. Any member can choose a patch.
I'm Alexia,
Toxie.
Shane.
And Sierra,
and we'll see you next time.
if you're brave enough.
Later, bitches.